Well, happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing great out there. I am Christine Gline. I am the creator of the Soul Intelligence Method and also the leader of the Soul Intelligence Movement. And today, your Soul Intelligence Minute, I'm going to share with you a couple of things I think that are really incredible nuggets. So, have you ever felt like you've been struggling lately to get your patient's results? Well, if so, you're not alone, first of all. And most of the time, it's because of chronic conditions and chronic illness. Did you know, according to the American Council on Aging, about 80% of adults have a chronic illness? 80%. And 68% of them have at least two chronic illnesses. So think about that. 1 in 6 Americans have a chronic disease, right? No wonder 80% of the patients an average doctor sees is for chronic conditions. It only stands to reason if you do math. Now, I usually need a calculator, but that's pretty clear. We are a sick nation. I know Dr. Mark Harmon in his new book, Young Forever, posed a really interesting question too. Like, what if we actually treated aging like it was a chronic condition? Aging of our cells actually increases the risk of chronic disease more than any of the top health issues combined, which is crazy to think. That means like um, cancer and heart disease and smoking and obesity, all of those things combined, right, is actually lower than the aging of our cells and increasing the risk of chronic diseases. That's bizarre to me. Like, just when I think about it from a mathematic perspective. Um, the other wild stat is aging accounts for 85% of our healthcare cost, but only gets 6% of government research funding, and that's spent primarily on the diseases of aging. So it's kind of crazy. Dr. Harmon in his book also talked about how it's possible to turn back time and become biologically younger, even though we're getting chronologically older. But that's a topic for another day. But what I want to talk to you about is thinking about why we struggle to get our patients' results, right? Why do they have chronic illnesses in the first place? And why do they have at least two chronic diseases? Well, that's because most of us stuff all of our emotions, right? We don't get them out. And that affects our actual physical condition, right? It affects the way the cells, the information that gets to the cells, the proteins that develop within the body systems. It's constantly getting this bombardment of negativity and negative emotions. And we have a tendency to stuff all those things down. And when we stuff those emotions down, that's what causes a dissonance in our frequency or dis-ease within the body, right? No wonder, 80% of adults have chronic illness and 68% have at least two chronic diseases, right? It's because we're all surrounded and bombarded by negative energy, negative emotions, repetitive um, self-limiting beliefs, reinforcing those negative energies, emotions, and thoughts, patterns and archetypes that keep us from actually feeling good and feeling healthy. We see things in a distorted way. So it's all of that repetitiveness that keeps us locked and stuck. So if you really want to help your patients get better and you really want to help them shift, one of the key components that you have to consider adding to your practice is energy medicine, right? It is the Soul Intelligence Method. That is my method that actually uses the ability or has the ability to actually get to those root causes of those chronic illnesses so that people can shift, so that you don't just fix one thing and then another thing falls apart, but you actually get to the heart of it and the actual root cause of it. That's what functional medicine's about anyway, getting to the root cause of what's causing everything to go funky. And once we physically get ourselves going, we have to work on our mental and emotional selves as well, right? That's the principle of bioenergetics. If you feel well physically, you're typically doing pretty well mentally and emotionally. And if you're not doing well physically, mentally, and emotionally, there's usually a whole lot going on. And I'm sure as a practitioner, you hear about all the everything that's going on. When you say, "So, how are you? What's going on in your life?" And then you get it, right? You hear about everything that's challenging at home, everything that's challenging at work, the craziness with children, or the craziness with the spouse, or all of the other stuff. So it's not a big leap to understand that all of that stuff causes stress. And we know stress is a very key component in keeping us well, right? When we have a lot of stress, it's almost impossible to keep everything in alignment and running right. So if that sounds like you can give me a yes in the comments. So me, any of that, that would be fantastic. And if you are interested in actually experiencing what it might be like to have a session, I am doing a free group session tomorrow night in my group on Facebook Live. Okay. But I'm only doing it for my group. So if you're not a member of my group yet, which is Soul Intelligence for healers and healthcare practitioners. But if you put in Soul Intelligence in Facebook and you ask to become a part of my group, I will allow you to come into that group. We'll accept you right away. And you can join us tomorrow afternoon. I'm actually going to do it around 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in my Facebook group. So if that sounds interesting to you, please come on over to that platform and join me there, because I would love for you to have a personal experience with the method. All right. Until next week, I hope everybody has a wonderful week and that you get lit up from the inside out. Take care.